a an electrical room modification. I'm not sure we talked about this one. It ended up that the room was an inch too narrow for code. The code has requires a certain door swing on all the electrical panels within a room. It didn't have its 36 inches, it had 35 inches, so we had to move a wall on 2 floors, one stacked above the other. So we've got an additional $5,000 to move those 2 walls.
From them or from us? To move the walls, who is responsible for that?
The contractor is moving the walls.
Okay, so it does not affect us.
So
that's part of the contingency.
Let me step in here for just a second. So when the contractor gave us the guaranteed maximum price, that included $800,000 in design contingency and $800,000 in contractor contingency. So it will not affect the guaranteed maximum price. And as a matter of fact, if we don't go through that $1.6 million in contingency, that comes back to us. And so that's where a lot of these changes are pulling from, is either design or construction contingency. And and I gave you my latest copy of the numbers, and it sounds like David will be giving us one next week as well, an updated list, and I can sit down and go through that with you, or David or Jeff can go through it with you as well. So, yeah. Whereas I hear what you're saying, and we've only had one situation where there was a disagreement about which pot of money it was coming out of. But otherwise, all the other changes. And David has authority up to $25,000 to approve these changes. And he's our owner's representative to make sure that it is coming from the correct pot of money, if that makes sense.
Yep, good.
Okay, so that brings up a third. So we have design contingency, we have a construction contingency. There's another way that money can be spent, and that's project betterment. We went through some items, value engineering items that we had taken out of the project. The project came in under budget. We said, okay, well, there's some things that we did in the value engineering that we'd really like to get back into the job. It makes it a better, cleaner process, a cleaner design, and a more usable facility. So owner betterment is another item that can be used. We can use the contingency items to make owner betterment. So we've had a request that came through that one of the courtrooms that currently they're set up to have a single judge seated in that courtroom. We had a request that we allow for a 5-panel judge to be seated in one of the courtrooms for the Superior Court.
I'm sorry, David, Supreme or Superior?
Supreme. So when they need to seat a panel of judges to hear a case, they want to be able to accommodate that in the larger of the 3 courtrooms that we have. One is not significantly larger, but it is larger. And so I'm coming to you asking if that's something that we can accommodate in this project. I've asked the contractor, I asked the design team to quickly draw a sketch up of what that would entail. I believe you have the original and the revised sketches of what that would look like. The rough order of magnitude that I received from the contractor was between $15,000 and $20,000 to accommodate that. I think it'll be closer to my $25,000 limit. I will probably have to do some modification to our furniture order to make that happen, so we can have some some storage cabinets on casters rather than having them under the desk where it would be in the way of those additional justices. So, I'm not looking for a decision for an approval at this point, other than, am I heading the right direction? Do you want to accommodate that?
So I understand that Judge McHugh will speak to this.
Yes, he
He's not here.
He's not here, okay.
So.
He was going to try to, his schedule looked like it was going to accommodate that, but evidently that's not the case. So Jeff has talked directly with him. He's talked to Bruce, which I think Bruce is the advocate for the justice, or for the judges. And I guess, I understand we have, that he has an understanding of that and supports this process, or going forward with this. So really, I would like to know what kind of questions that you have, and maybe we can get to answer that, and possibly have the judge talk to you directly if there are questions about how this came about.
Sure. I think my consideration would be, this is the Supreme Court Justice Bench that we're sitting at.
Okay.
And they're supposed to come here every 2 years, I think, Jennifer, is that what it is? They haven't been here since pre-COVID. They were here? Oh, okay, well, it didn't affect us, so.
It was just going to be close. I would say 5.
But they didn't hear anything at this bench. Okay. Right. Okay. So that would be the thing. Like, we now meet down here as the Board of County Commissioners. So if we do not make this modification to the courthouse, then the Board of County Commissioners will be displaced when the Supreme Court meets here to hear cases. How often? I don't know. How long? I don't know. So that's just one consideration. And then, of course, the other consideration was that courtroom would also be interrupted if we did put the bench there, and then they would just have to schedule around all the other pending cases in the courtroom. So that's just considerations to think about moving forward. So do you have any thoughts on that? Is that, I mean, better to keep them over there?
We're not building the Taj Mahal.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
you know, it needs to be functional. If it works, if this works for it, great. And if
So-
the commissioners can, maybe if the commissioners go home and stay outside, maybe they'll be able to have more time for other things.
Sure. So that would just be the thing that we'd want to consider. And it's not the Taj Mahal over there, because we actually asked, instead of what was presented from the architect, we asked it to be the same bench, like laminate and that. So again, I guess it's just something that we need to decide if we want, you know, the commissioners to be interrupted or the courthouse to be interrupted. And when will you need a decision?
How many times and how long do they get together?
I have a question into the Supreme Court right now to find that out, because again, since I've been here, they haven't heard cases here. So if that's the case, then it's not a big deal. But if they were to get back in that rotation, then we could be displaced.
It kind of sounds to me like this would be a big part of the wish list.
Correct. It is definitely part of the wish list.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not part. I don't like wish lists when it comes to government activities.
Sure.
It's not proper.
Sure. So, yeah, so at this point, if you're thinking that Commissioner Matari is in favor of it, then we'll probably have to just get the numbers.
Okay.
And then we can make a decision after the numbers come in, and if Judge McHugh wants to plead the case.
You know, and another thought, so at home, you know, we're going to have Thanksgiving dinner, we're going to have Christmas dinner, we're going to have Easter dinner, and blah, 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 and everybody makes do with what they have. They don't build things for, you know, to make it for Christmas dinner.
Sure.
So, I think government should operate that way. Otherwise, they're
Okay.
kind of, I'll leave that to your imagination.
All right.
So where we are currently, the architect is refining that design, and I'll get that to the contractor for pricing, and I can get back to you with what it would actually cost. So that's a rough order of magnitude. I've been under and over on those estimates based on what they come up with as a final design. So I can get that and get back to you. As far as timing goes, we are. They had already cut out a portion of that dais, and so there's part of that cost is to make modifications to their program for the CNC. So it's the computer operated cutting out of that bench. And so we're getting to the point where we may start to impact the overall construction schedule if we don't get these things finalized. So right now, no, it's not an impact. Probably in the next 2-3 weeks, it would make an impact.
Okay, so actually, next week we're in Boise, so I don't think we have a status update. We could handle it at the business meeting Thursday afternoon, or if it's okay to do on February 4th.
I think we're fine, February 4th.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we'll be prepared to make a decision on February 4th. Okay.
So I will have pricing on the furniture next week.
Okay.
And so I can get that to you, and then we can probably, that same meeting, then February 4th, and we could talk about some things that we want to omit or add.
Okay, furniture-wise. Okay.
Ballpark thoughts on cost of said goodies?
So furnishings typically, and I had budgeted for $600,000 in furnishing costs, and we'll be under that number. So that's based on historical cost data on a building of this size. So.
No, I was speaking of.
Sorry, did I misunderstand?
Yes, of all the stuff that needs to go into the.
Into that, yeah. Like I say, I got the contractor's rough estimate. They just they talked to their supplier and got what they thought it would cost.
15 to 20,000.
I would like
15 to
come up and
20,000.
tour what's going on.
Pardon?
I would like to come up and tour what's going on.
Oh, absolutely. Any time you would like to. We have meetings at 9 o'clock on Thursdays, or after this meeting is the time we can give a tour. So anytime you want to go on a tour.
Probably be a whole lot more exciting than what's coming up next.
Yeah. Well, and we don't have much, depending on how our insurance presentation goes, this meeting probably should be, it won't be too long. So I don't know if, David, you want to stick around and if you wanted to do it now, right after this meeting, or?
That'd be fine. If that's,
We're at a really good place in the construction in that the third floor is finished and painted. They're starting to install the acoustical ceiling, so you're looking at almost a finished product on the third floor. And then as you go down second, first, and lower level, they're at different levels of completion, so you can see all of that. You can see the inside of what the walls would be at the very bottom, and then the varying stages as you move up. So it's a good time to look at it.
thank you.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, item 2, Basin Commission. This is the technical leadership group, and we had a resignation. We have 2 people, and it was Jamie Sturgis and Jerry DeLang. Jerry DeLang, her schedule is not allowing her to be part of the technical leadership group, and so it's suggested by Jamie Sturgis that David Brown from the Natural Resource Advisory Board be approached to see if he'd be interested in taking that position. So I just wanted to get your thoughts before I started moving down the road too far.
Well, I sat on that commission for 4 years, and it was enjoyable. Learned a lot of stuff over there, but I also learned some things that were very disturbing. Like they were using BlackRock to make a whole bunch of money over there, and they were trying to put it into this pile so they could make the stuff go farther. And it seemed like a lot of wastage over there, and of course those are federal employees, and I don't think they're very nice with taxpayer dollars. They're looking for projects to put up just for that reason.
Okay. So are you all right if I contact David Brown then? And
That's fine.
okay, he's been on our Natural Resource Advisory Board for quite a while, and I think he'll keep a lookout for us on that level.
And even on this is an aside, they would measure the amounts of whatever it happened to be, and they wouldn't even use proper mathematical precision to do that.
On the lead levels?
Pardon?
On the lead levels?
Not on, yes, lead levels and all sorts of stuff. And it was like I was disappointed. It was very interesting, but I think they're just.
Well, I'm happy as the alternate if you would get back and find out what's happening today. So, anyway, all right. So that's fine. I will see if Mr. Brown's interested.
Consider that at another time.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, item 3, presentation from John Goedde, our insurance agent. So quarterly, Mr. Goedde comes in and gives us kind of the state of our assets. Don't forget
Good morning,
to
Commissioners.
push that. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. First of all, I'd like to thank Cecilia for making my report look much better than what I sent her. And I think you can go through and see the things that I've been doing this quarter. Two things that I would like to point out, and the first being as a result of the walkthrough of the administration complex. Going through IT, the gentleman told me that there was $2 million worth of equipment in their vault, and we only have $6 million total in personal property in the administration building. And I'm asking Erica to find out how much she's got in scheduled assets. My concern is every cubicle has a certain value between the cubicle and the equipment in it. And my guess is all of that falls below the limit that Erica uses. So I suggest that we get a value, an average value for one of those cubicles, and then ask each department to report the number of cubicles they've got so we can make some determination, baseline of what we've got in assets there. There were a number of safety concerns. The example that I just showed Cecilia was a space heater, a cord crossing the threshold of a door. Real easy trip and fall hazard. And all those space heaters should be turned off when they're and unplugged when they're not in use. And the other thing, and it's a question that I've asked just recently about the lease agreement with Kootenai Fire for the property at the fairgrounds. I'd like to review the insurance specifications of that lease agreement, because obviously there's a pollution hazard with the chemicals that are used in the fire department. And along those same lines, you're going to take on a potential pollution hazard with the underground, the vaulted fuel tank out of Kootenai North. And the limit from ICRIMP for that exposure is $100,000. And to date, I still haven't gotten values of the tank and the pump equipment. I think they're waiting from some supplier to get me those numbers. And with that, I'd stand for any questions.
Okay, any questions for John? So is it sufficient if we take your documentation and put out a communication countywide about the space heaters and any other thing that you recommend on there?
Space heaters and extension cords.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right, well, thank you, appreciate that. And public comment? Okay, hearing none. 10:24, meeting adjourned. Thank you.